Hello and good afternoon. Also, Happy New Year and welcome to the first conversation on agroecology for 2025, it being the seventh in our row of conversations. My name is Taru Sandén, and along with Ana Pires da Silva from INIAV, I'm pleased to moderate this seventh conversation on agroecology, on lifelong learning and micro-credentials within AKIS. I come from the Austrian Agency for Health and Food Safety. My colleague from AKIS, Julia Foratelne, will be taking care of the summary of this conversation, and my AKIS colleague, Katrin Buchinger, will be handling the technical aspects. In case you have any technical questions during the next hour, Katrin will be available to assist you with any kind of issues, so just send her a message in the chat. Agroecology, the European Partnership on Accelerating Farming Systems Transition, Agroecology Living Labs and Research Infrastructures, is a collaborative research and innovation initiative involving the European Commission and 26 member states, associated countries, and third countries, with a total of 72 partners. These conversations where we are now are among the initial steps to enhance agricultural knowledge and innovation systems for the agroecological transition. And these conversations aim to foster connections between living labs and research infrastructures, their actors throughout Europe and also beyond. These monthly online conversations will continue throughout the partnership. So for the next for 7 years, and promote engagement and connections among actors. Today we have with us two speakers from Ireland. Despite the situation in Ireland, they are both online. Thank you very much. So we have with us Mark Gibson from Teagasc and Fiona Lalor from University College Dublin. And they will introduce you to the AKIS of Ireland and micro-credentials, namely short and flexible accredited courses. First, we will listen to both of their talks, and after that, everybody will have the possibility to join in for the discussion, ask questions, or give comments to the topics. Please note that this conversation is recorded. If anyone has objections to that, please let us know now. I see no hands, so I think we can go ahead. As a last technical aspect, please keep your microphones muted and your camera away to ensure that we have a good quality for our speakers throughout the conversation. And now, without further ado, I would like to hand over to Mark Gibson. Mark, you're very welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Taru. I'll just share my first slide now. Hopefully you can all see that now in a second. You might just let me know that's coming through okay. So thank you for the introduction, and thanks for the invitation to speak to you today. So my name is Mark Gibson. I work in Teagasc, and I'm living here on the west coast of Ireland, which was very badly hit by the storm at the weekend. So we're operating on generators today, but I'm glad to share that there's lots of help coming across from colleagues in Europe, and I believe there's a team from Austria has arrived to help with getting back our electricity online. So hopefully that'll get sorted soon. So my own background, I started working in Teagasc a little over 20 years ago as a farm advisor, and I moved into the work area of environment and working water quality, nitrates, climate change, and biodiversity, working with policymakers and advisors and developing training programs. And then more recently, I've moved into the whole area of learning and development for industry, our own advisors, and then also we are developing a new program for farmers which I will share some details with you about. But just by means of introduction, Teagasc is the Irish Agriculture, Food and Development Authority, and it's pronounced Teagasc. It's a Gaelic word meaning teaching or learnings. And the organization was established in 1988, and it was an amalgamation of two separate bodies embracing research, education, and advisory and extension. So it's a little less usual as an organizational structure compared to some other European partners that we've worked with. And Ireland is seen as, I suppose, our Teagasc is seen to have that three strands of core strands of the AKIS embodied within the one organization, but it is a distinct advantage. This is our head office in County Carlow, and our mission is to provide scientific leadership and support to Irish farmers and food companies in achieving sustainable food system. We've 50 advisory offices, farm advisory offices across Ireland. I am based here in Athenry on the west coast, so you can see we're fairly close to the Atlantic there. We have 7 agricultural colleges, 7 research centres, and in total we have approximately 1,500 staff. We would have also about 200 PhD students working with us at any one stage, at any one time, and we also have postdoc students as well working with us. So what I'm going to talk about a little bit more in detail is the whole concept of AKIS, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It's the AKIS stands for the Agricultural Knowledge and Innovation System. And there's a huge focus now coming from Brussels, in particular, on the importance of AKIS. Every country in Europe now, as part of their CAP strategic plan, must have an AKIS strategy embedded in that. And so the project that I'm going to talk about is called modernAKIS. The objective of that is to support member states in the implementation of their AKIS strategy and provide learning supports as well. So just looking at the characteristics of a well-functioning AKIS, and this comes from Knut and Knierim from the University of Hohenheim, where they have developed a lot of expertise in this area. An AKIS supporting policy with dedicated resources, public investment available to enhance advisory services, knowledge production and exchange. So a lot of emphasis here on the use of knowledge and the delivery of knowledge as opposed to necessarily the creation of new knowledge. A well-established AKIS coordination mechanism that is in place, effective formal linkages for knowledge exchange amongst various AKIS actors, and then diverse influential actors. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So the Teagasc together is the thematic of our last statement of strategy in Teagasc. We have the 4 pillars within the organization: advisory, research, education, and of course our corporate services, finance, human resources, and ICT to support the different directorates. But we have a very unique group of specialists in the middle here who are seen as the connective tissue between the different parts of the organization, and also have very strong linkages outside of Teagasc through to policy and to industry as well. This is a diagram that we developed a number of years ago to some way describe the relationship between Teagasc and the rest of the AKIS. And it's a very useful diagram for us to look at the various connections between different parts of the AKIS, different actors. So we've attempted to identify the main actors involved in the Irish AKIS. And that really is helpful to us when we're developing new programs and new campaigns to see who needs to be involved and the stakeholders that need to be consulted with. So looking at the modernAKIS project itself, the modernAKIS stands for Modernisation of Agriculture through more efficient and effective agricultural knowledge and innovation systems. It's a €10 million project, and it started in September 2022. So we're into year 3 of the project, or entering into year 3 of the project. There are 31 partners and all 21 or 27 member states are represented in the project. And that was really important that we had all member states involved. So obviously having that number of partners creates its own challenges, but also the opportunity to ensure that every member state is linked in and plugged into the project and can avail of the outputs from the project. So you can see the different partners that are involved here. So Teagasc is one of the work package leaders. We're responsible for work package 3, which focuses on capacity development. So all of you probably recognize, I'm sure some of your own organizations are mentioned here on screen. This is a slide that I borrowed from Inge Van Oost, who's a senior policy officer in the European Commission. And I think it describes well what AKIS is about and who are the main players. And effectively, AKIS is the organization and interaction of people, organizations and institutions who use and produce knowledge and innovations for agriculture and interrelated fields. So it's not just the people, it's the interaction, that connectivity between the different actors within the AKIS. The main players obviously are farmers at the very center, the advisors, researchers, farmer organizations, NGOs, networks, retailers, media, services, and of course the ministries are a very important part of the AKIS. And so the aim is to create a regional and national innovation ecosystem by enhancing knowledge flows between AKIS players, as well as strengthening the links between research and practice. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to move through these slides fairly promptly. But you can see here, this is just more of a diagrammatic presentation of what was appearing on the previous slide. But just to say, a good AKIS strategy will bring actors together on a structured, regular basis, creating continuous interactions, speed up knowledge exchange, knowledge flows, innovation, and most of all, implementation in practice. So as part of each country's AKIS strategy, they're required to establish an AKIS coordination body. So it's important that each country, I'm sure many of you have heard about that. I see that somebody's microphone is switched on there. Maybe they could be muted. So moving on to the objectives, the main objectives there is to improve the capacity amongst AKIS actors to leverage individual organizational and systemic resources needed for the transformation towards more coherent, effective, and efficient AKIS system. So that's probably the core of it, developing a more coherent, effective, and efficient AKIS system, and to transition to more sustainable management and use of natural resources. So that's obviously the end goal there, and this is the how. So as part of the project, we have developed an online, there's the project website, which is modernAKIS if you Google that. But as part of the collaboration between the modernAKIS project and another project called Attractis, which is focused on innovation support services, we've developed a website called akisconnect.eu. And I just want to signpost some of the resources that are available to you on the actual platform. You can see here there's a section which is focused on training materials, and we have developed 4 different modules. There's two parts to module 2 about understanding the concept of AKIS, the need for systems approaches to what are often complex problems within agriculture. I'm reminded of a phrase I've heard recently there that a simple solution to a complex problem is more than likely a wrong solution. So this series of modules focuses on understanding how systems approaches can be used, and also for countries to look at their AKIS and see how strong or how well performing it is. There's lots of other resources available. There's a toolkit. And I'd also like to signpost to you a number of events that are coming up, and we have regular online events occurring through the platform. They're advertised here, and some actually one coming up on living labs, which I noticed that it was mentioned in the introduction there as well. So I leave that. You can go and look at that yourself in your own time, but definitely worth a look to see the resources that are available there. And there's also the opportunity there for you to register and sign up for the newsletter. There's a newsletter that's published as part of the modernAKIS project, and it'll keep you up to date on any recent learning and development opportunities or events that are appearing. So if I move on to, I'm going to move through the next few slides because I'm conscious that time is against us. But you can see here the focus is very much on a systems approach to innovation, and that needs to involve a range of actors. And of course, the EIP projects or operational groups that are funded through the CAP are a very good manifestation of how that multi-actor approach to innovation at a local level. The diagnosis of the AKIS is very much focused on understanding how the AKIS system functions and using knowledge exchange and co-production to address the issues.
Thank you very much, Mark, for this excellent talk. Is it possible to Yeah, great. We will be able to ask questions from Mark after Fiona's talk. Fiona Lalor from the University College Dublin. Fiona, the floor is yours.
Okay, is that okay? Right. Thank you very much for inviting me here this morning, and it's lovely to talk to you all. I'm very lucky. I'm in Dublin, and we were hit badly by the storm, but not as badly as Mark, it seems. So we don't have, at the moment anyway, have any electricity problems, and the world has calmed down a little bit for us. I was invited here today, I understand, to talk to you a little bit about micro-credentials and agriculture. So that's sort of what I'm going to do. Just to give you a little bit of an introduction to me, that's a photograph of me when I was out gallivanting, but I am based at University College Dublin, and specifically I work in the School of Agriculture and Food Science. My background is a little bit more regulatory than anything else. I worked for a number of years in as it was then, the newly established the Food Safety Authority of Ireland, and then moved into work representing industry through the Irish Business and Employers Confederation, and worked for food and drink industry there as the regulatory affairs manager. So I've worked both for the gamekeeper and the poacher, I suppose you could say. And then I moved into academia, where I've been for the last number of years. I've worked on a couple of research projects. And then in the last 3 years, I've become what they call sort of a grown-up academic. And now I'm in charge of a variety of different teaching components within the School of Agriculture and Food Science. So that's sort of who I am and what we do. I'm the director of executive education in the school. And I suppose I need to explain to you where the school is. These are two sort of images. The School of Agriculture and Food Science, or University College Dublin principally, is based in Belfield. Our campus is in Belfield, which is in pretty much the heart, not quite the heart of the city, but almost, very much in Dublin city itself. We also, however, have access to Lyons Farm, which is about 20 kilometres outside of the city, which is a working farm, but has extensive research projects ongoing also. And it's a very important component of what we are and who we act and how we behave. This image here is this gentleman in the middle of this photograph is Professor Frank Monaghan, and he's the head of the School of Agriculture and Food Science. So he leads us and guides us all in all of our endeavours and what we do. The structure of UCD is such that we're divided into 7 different colleges. This is to put it into a little bit. I'll be quick about this, but you need to kind of understand where we sit. We have a number of colleges in UCD, and the School of Agriculture and Food Science is in the College of Health and Agricultural Sciences. So within us, we have the veterinary medicine, the nurses, public health and medicine. But my school is that of agriculture and food science, and we're the only school, sort of school or department, call it whatever you will, in Ireland that has agriculture and food science merged together under one roof, which makes us unique in many ways. We are the first destination of choice for agriculture and food science students in Ireland. We have over 1,800 students registered to the school. We have a number of 12 different undergraduate programs, 8 taught postgraduate programs, and a number of research MSc and PhDs. And where this conversation fits is under a combination of continuous professional development and of executive education. And that's where the sort of the micro-credential concept is. For me, I don't like the term micro-credential. I think it's a shocking word that absolutely does not explain anything. It sounds like a medical intervention, if you ask me. So if I had my way, I would rebrand it completely. But that, unfortunately, is beyond my control. So what a micro-credential is, it's, first of all, it's a European project, but it's in Ireland, a 5-year led by the Irish Universities Association. So the IUA are leading this concept of micro-credentials. It's a 12.3 million project, which was scheduled to terminate this year, but I think there's rumblings that we may extend and get further funding. The idea is that they are bite-sized accredited courses that are designed to fit into a busy life. You can pick and choose what sort of micro-credential you'd like to do, in the sense that you're not making a commitment to complete your PhD thesis. You're not saying, I'm going to stick around here for 4 years and invest in research projects. I don't need to take my time out of my career and my job, but it's something that I can do alongside of that, but it is still accredited. So that's sort of the idea, that it gives you an opportunity, no matter what career you're in, to pick and choose small little bite-sized pieces of information. The definition officially in European terms is that a micro-credential is a recognized proof of the learning outcome that a learner has achieved following a short learning experience according to transparent standards and requirements and upon assessment. So that's one of the key components of a micro-credential. It's not just learning outcomes. You can just come and learn and listen and move on. You must take part in an assessment in order to be granted your micro-credential. And they can have a number of different credits. We can get to the credit component in a few minutes. The ECTS, so the idea is you complete your micro-credential, you get your mini qualification, and then you can bring it wherever you like. And it's recognized in a European context. In Ireland, as I say, it's been led by the IUA, so the Irish University Association, and these are all the partner academic institutions that are involved in the micro-credential project in Ireland, and I work in UCD. So there are, various different micro-credential learnings being taught in all of the other separate areas, but I happen to be based here in UCD. Now, the next slide is possibly a little bit out of context, because one of the key components is the funding and how does that work? And typically you really, as I say, this is possibly in the wrong place in terms of my presentation, but we have, and this is the big thing that's of interest across the board, is what's known as the Learner Subsidy Scheme. So the Learner Subsidy Scheme is funded by the government, and ultimately what it means is that the HCI, the Human Capital Initiative, will fund a learner to complete a micro-credential either to 50 or 80% of the fee. So they really pay very little as a student to come along and learn and complete your micro-credential. If the particular micro-credential you are studying or you've opted to take is funded up to 80%, then really it is a limited contribution on behalf of the learner. What we would love is for that to be a permanent feature. Of course, it's not. It's only ever guaranteed year on year. So we can't be 100% certain ever what's going to happen next. But it is, from a learner's point of view, it's not terribly expensive way. In a UCD context, we have both non-award micro-credentials and award micro-credentials. I don't want to confuse you in any way. The point is, you can either take it and run when you've completed your 5 or 10 credits, or what an ECTS equals credits. You'll see me using the phrase interchangeably, but they mean the same thing. So you can come along and complete your 5 or 10 credit program and then move on. And then in some cases, you might decide that actually what I want to do is tag this on to a bigger program. So I want to get myself a master's degree, and I want to use my micro-credential learning to add that in to a higher award. So in some cases that's possible, and in some cases that is yet to be worked out. But that's really in UCD, without bamboozling you anymore, it's part of a much bigger project. The micro-credentials are not just an agriculture and food science idea, they are much, much broader than that. And they're across the university with a variety of different pathways and a variety of different structures. And it's a complex setup. And as I say, I really don't like the word micro-credential. I think it doesn't aid my cause in any way to try and explain what it is that we do. So now we have an understanding that what we're talking about is a small little snippet of information that you get, that you can come along and commit to as part of your job, if you like, to tag on. So you might decide you're interested in something totally different, or it may be that there's a specific piece of learning that a micro-credential will cover you for as part of your job. So there's different ways of doing that. In the micro-credentials in the School of Agriculture and Food Science, and this is the piece that's probably most of interest to this audience, is what do we do in agriculture and food science in terms of micro-credentials. So we have, I think it's 12 or maybe 15 different micro-credentials on offer. I look after, I don't teach into all of them, I manage all of them in that I'm the director of that program. So it could be communications and agri-innovation, the science and standards of food safety. So they cross the border between agriculture and food science frequently. And it also goes right the whole way through to nutrition. So the concepts of nutrition and healthy eating. There are samples 3, and then there's also nutrition and the consumer diet, creativity and innovation, and food risk analysis. You'll see at the bottom, these are all level 9. Almost all of our programs, not all, but almost all of them are level 9 programs. So, which would mean that in order to satisfy the requirements, it would mean that you need to have a level 8 degree in order to gain access to these. We do have a few micro-credentials whereby that's not a requirement. Now, either you can come to the table with a degree and say, I have a level 8 degree, so I want access to that. Or you can say, I don't have a level 8 degree, but I have 20 years of working in a particular field. So we either recognize prior learning, or we also recognize experiential learning for people who want access to a specific micro-credential. Other examples are plant foods. Equine reproduction, you can see, is one of the ones that is a level 8 program. So we have people who have level 7 degrees who have access to, so slightly under an honours degree, who have access to equine reproduction and fertility. Funny, we find that the agriculture piece we're selling, for want of a better phrase, a lot better than the human eating behaviour or nutrition programs. They're less popular, which is interesting because I certainly did not anticipate that. Nutrition is always a subject that people like to talk about. But in terms of micro-credentials, the agriculture pieces tend to be a lot more demanding, if you like. These are just other examples of ones that we have. And these are more agriculture-based: livestock infection and immunity and sustainable livestock systems. These are all short programs. And I'm going to focus specifically and give you a little bit more information on our advanced animal nutrition micro-credential. It is a level 9 one with 10 credits. Most of the School of Agriculture programs have either 5 or 10 credits, and this one is a 10 credit module. The fee is 1,250. So that's what the typical student would pay in order to complete that program. It's a 12-week program, so it starts in January and finishes up 12 weeks later. However, it is subsidized to the tune of 80% by the learner subsidy fee, which means that the fee to the student is only €250. And this is our most popular micro-credential, advanced animal nutrition. So I thought I'd pull that one apart a little bit more and talk to you about that one, so that we could get a bit more information on that. As I say, it's a level 9 postgraduate, and applicants need to have a bachelor's degree. It's a 10 credit program, and the fees are 1,280, but they're subsidized. The program is designed to address growth in ruminant and simple stomached animals, and it reviews concepts relevant to animal nutrition. It is, and I had a little look at the makeup of the type of student who comes on this program. Most of them are farmers. The vast majority of the students on this program are farmers, either part-time or full-time. And I can get to that a little bit to tell you a little bit more about that. It is like some of our modules, this is an all academic speak. You don't need to know about that. The point is that some of our micro-credentials run 3 times throughout the year, and some of them are only term specific. This module only runs from January to April or May. So it is only, it's only run in the spring. And this is only, as we speak, is only the second time we've run the program. So as of January, as of last week, we have 38 students registered on that program for this term specifically. They must have an agriculture background, either in farming or in a related industry. That's one of the key eligibility criteria. The learning, so how it works typically is that the learning materials are released once a week. It is all online. It's all online and typically asynchronous. So what we mean by that is you're not listening to, you don't need to say, right, my class is at 5 o'clock. I have to be there at 5 p.m. That's not how it works. We upload a recording. So the students are given a week to digest that information. And then they have 2 to 3 live sessions throughout the trimester. So the module, the lecturer on that program is a gentleman by the name of Stafford. And Stafford Vigers, who runs this module, he will give 2 to 3 live sessions throughout the trimester. And this is one of those micro-credentials that I mentioned, in that it does give a possible potential pathway to a master's degree. So you can either take this as a standalone, because you're interested in advanced animal nutrition, or you can say, I want to take this and then I want to progress, use it to get myself onto the master's degree in animal science. So you have the opportunity to do either one of those, whichever one. We've had people come on and say, I just want to learn. I'm not actually even interested in getting the micro-credential. I just want to take the learnings, and I'm not even going to do the assessment, which obviously isn't ideal from our point of view, nor from theirs. It's a bit of a short-sighted view. But for some people, it's just the learning they're interested in. They don't necessarily want a higher degree, a higher qualification. And in terms of assessment, which is the one question that everybody asks, the only thing really that it's certainly as they begin, they're saying, what have I committed to here? What are you going to expect from me? Stafford has set his assessment strategy at a project that's worth 60% of the overall grade, and then of which that breaks down into peer learning activities, and the presentation has to be uploaded to Brightspace. So they all form part of that 60%. And then there's a 40% component, which is multi-choice questions that are also online. Brightspace is in UCD, it's our virtual learning environment. So it's where you go, it's like a home for all of your learning material, and you get a UCD password, and that's how you access all of that information. So you really are a registered student. If you're choosing to do a micro-credential, you're a registered student in UCD. So as I say, I had a quick look yesterday as to where these students are coming from. The Higher Education Authority, which is the HCI, or not the HCI, the Higher Education Authority is coordinating all the funding. And they are in the process of conducting a national survey to look at all the students across the board of all the micro-credentials to see where they're coming from. So I had a quick look at ours only, and not just ours only, at Stafford's module. So to see who's taking advanced animal nutrition, of all of these students that are coming, where are they coming from? And of that, he was running a survey anyway. Approximately 70% of them are farmers. They're either full-time farmers or part-time farmers. And approximately 20% of them are farm advisors. Either they work for Mark's organization, for Teagasc, or for other separate advisory services. And then there are others who work in technical services for the agriculture sector, the agriculture industry. So I thought that would give you an idea of how it could feed into your AKIS program, and the schemes that operate in terms of farms and farm advisories and a knowledge transfer. This could fit quite nicely into how that all operates and how you do that. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you today. The whole idea of micro-credentials, there are hundreds of them across hundreds, but there are a number of them across the country. And they're new, they're still evolving, but they can be snippets of all kinds. There are programs in medicine, there are programs in geography, there are programs in engineering, all kinds of different fields. So it's kind of an exciting way to bring people back into education and give them an opportunity, those who either might have missed an opportunity altogether, or those who want to return and say, there's still more I want to learn. However, we have had extensive challenges, should I say, in terms of getting university administration. While the university has bought into it, it is not that straightforward to enable the success of the project. Universities probably across Europe are set up beautifully to deal with undergraduate students and to deal with postgraduate students. And they have systems very clearly in place to do that. It is very challenging to challenge that. and say, you know, this student is not going to commit to being here for the next 4 years. They're going to be here for 12 weeks. So how do we register them and how do we administer all of that? And that is very difficult. In addition, we have found you have to get buy-in from the teaching staff, because for them, it's a whole new, we're trying to introduce a new concept of how to teach people. And it's something new for them. As ever, you bring something new, you have to kind of bring people along with you. So that's proving to be, it's successful, but it's not always easy, and you need to not disregard that. And then finally, it's an ideal way for those, particularly given the online and the asynchronous way in which it's taught. It's ideal for those working in farming or indeed in any industry, because they make up their own time. It enables them to upskill and to develop their learning in specific areas that may be of particular interest to them in the field of agriculture. So I hope that covers what you had hoped that it would, and that I've answered. I'm obviously available for questions should you have any more. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you very much. And now we have both Mark and Fiona online, so we can open the discussion. My colleague Ana Pires da Silva from Portugal will be moderating the discussion with me. So feel free to ask questions in the chat or just raise your hand and you will get the chance to talk. Anna, would you like to start with a question to Mark?
Well, I'm looking at the chat. There's no questions in the chat. But I can just ask you, Mark, what funds finances your activity? Is from the CAP strategic plan and from projects, of course, but what other kind of funds?
So Teagasc is government, a public agency as part of the Irish government. So we are partially funded through our client fees that we would charge to farmers. So we have 43,000 farmer clients, and we also provide services to agri-food professionals as well. We have a lot of funding through EU projects and nationally funded research projects as well. So that they're our main funding sources. But essentially, it's a public. We're part of the public service in Ireland.
Okay, so farmers pay for advisor services. The farmers pay for the advisor services.
Yes, it is a subsidized fee that we charge on account of the funding that we receive from government. But we have, depending on the farm size and depending on the enterprise, we have different charging rates.
Mm-hmm. It is easy to, I mean, are they willing to pay for the advisor services? And well, most of them may. Yeah.
It's a really good question, because it depends on the type of farm, I suppose, where we know that dairy farming in Ireland is probably one of the most profitable enterprises, and so their willingness to pay is probably greater where they see return on investment for technical advice. Whereas the other enterprises, less profitable enterprises, which would include beef production and tillage to some degree as well, but beef and sheep are probably the lowest margin. It is a challenge to engage with farmers on a technical basis there for them to pay for a technical service. So what the services, we also offer services around scheme support, and particularly this side of the country in the west of Ireland, a lot of farmers would be heavily reliant on CAP payments. So they would pay us for assistance with those. That would be the main. But I mean, if it was if we were charging for technical advice alone, with that cohort, we probably would have a limited number of members.
Okay, thank you. There is a question in the chat for you, Mark. Again, what is the value of retailers taking part in the AKIS network? What kind of events do you have?
So for retailers, so Teagasc, within our research, our food research department, we would have a lot of industry training provided there. And we would also work alongside Board BIA, who is the Irish food marketing agency. So there's a number of programs that we would operate there alongside the Enterprise Ireland, Board BIA, and Teagasc. There's some startup opportunities there for startup food programs, and that they're given access to retail space. From a retailer point of view, then obviously food quality and is important there for them, and new product development as well. So it's quite a separate department to mine, but I know that they would, at a high level, they would be the sort of interactions that would be taking place. And obviously, Teagasc would have very strong joint initiatives with the broader industry, the processing industry as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have Ivana with a question. Ivana, you have raised your hand.
Yes. Good afternoon, Taru. Good afternoon, Mark and Fiona. Thank you very much for your presentations. Very interesting to hear from both institutions and get to learn a little bit more about the work. I represent ICROFS, International Center for Research in Organic Food Systems, and we are also responsible for coordination of Co-Organic Euronet, which is now not anymore Euronet, but a network of institutions working with organic food and farming research. Teagasc is one of the stakeholder partners, funding partners. So I think that there is an interesting connection. And my question to you would be related to something that we, as a part of Co-Organic Network, have started discussing more lately, and that is aquaculture. Ireland has, I would say, among the leading roles on this subject. So both question of organic aquaculture, that is not very easy from the perspective of whole institutionalizing and marketing and certifying, but maybe some hints on how this discussion is going on or is not going on, where are the obstacles? And maybe for Fiona more, if any courses related to aquaculture are planned in the context of your work, because we have seen that there's always, in context of our food and farming work, this is lagging behind, while some Green Deal targets are actually, for organics at least, both agriculture and aquaculture related. So this is some broad questions, but maybe you have some feedback on the discussions that you have around this at home or the obstacles that are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana.
So, Ivana, I'm going to have to disappoint you because we don't in Teagasc have any.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone, and I presume he'll be back. But I would like to say probably what he was going to say, which is that. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Are you back, Mark?
Oh, sorry. My network is playing havoc here. So I was just basically saying that Teagasc doesn't have a direct remit in the aquaculture side of things. However, I know my colleagues in the food science do have some involvement, all right. But the Marine Institute, and there are a number of different institutes focused on aquaculture in Ireland. So it might be worth reaching out to them. I can pass on their details.
And I was going to say basically the same, in that in UCD, all of our energy has to date been spent on meat and dairy, to be honest. And the aquaculture, you're right, is always lagging behind. It's like the poor relation. And I don't really know why that is. The industry just hasn't been, I suppose, as profitable for us here in Ireland. But in UCD, we don't have that expertise, really. So we have no programs at the moment, nor any online in the pipeline. In aquaculture, it's certainly something that we need to consider. But typically when you think of Irish farming, and Mark, you're probably you're an expert here, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we think meat and dairy. That's what we think of. So we really need to broaden our horizons a little to be thinking beyond that. But unfortunately, at the moment, that would be pretty much where it lies. So sorry to disappoint, but that's...
No, I think that's actually quite a picture that I think we see in all our funding partners. We have 28 European partners, so that's not very new. We are really struggling how to put aquaculture along farming on the table of discussion, because sometimes, as Mark was saying, maybe the institutions are different, the competent authorities are different, while the targets are sometimes placed together. So that may be a new interesting chapter, how we actually find synergies across these institutions in order to think where the education is needed, where the institutional infrastructure is lagging. In case there would be any steps on education in this context, we'll be really happy to hear, Fiona, maybe through this forum back in agroecology partnership, that there are maybe courses on this, and we would gladly promote it among our membership. So maybe we're just opening new chapters. So
yes, perhaps
it's never late to do this. And again, very much thank you for sharing the learnings that you have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Ivana. And it's always good to find new horizons as well. So very good to have this kind of questions. Anna, are there some more questions at your end? I see no more questions in the chat at the moment.
No more questions in the chat.
Did you still have a question you wanted to ask from Fiona?
Oops. Fiona, are these courses like after work courses, or
sorry, are they which?
Are they courses like after work, post work courses?
Oh yes, you can. Yes, they can be whenever you want them to be. So the learnings are uploaded onto our learning platform, and they drop, as it were, to use the right terminology, once a week, and then typically you'd have a week to digest them. So whether you do that at 10 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning or in the middle of the day is entirely up to you. So they're built in to be hugely flexible. That's the idea.
Okay, because you said they're recorded, of course, and then students can just listen whenever they have time.
When it suits them. Yeah, exactly.
They just have to, they have two in person.
There are typically two or three in person, live, online, but in person, not in person, live program tutorials, you might call them. And in UCD, we can't grade people on attendance, unfortunately. So we can't insist and make attendance at those kinds of things mandatory. That's not possible. But I would always, you always say to all students, it's worth your while to come to the live and online classes, but you can't make them compulsory.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think then we have taken all the questions that we have for today. It has been a very interesting dive into the IRIS, AKIS, and micro-credentials. Again, thank you very much, Mark and Fiona, for taking the time to give your talks. Also, given the current situation in Ireland, I hope that everything will be back to normal soon. Thank you for joining us. This was the first conversation for 2025, and there will be 9 more this year. The next one will be organized at the end of February, on the 26th of February, and then we will be focusing on policy for agroecology. So we hope to see you there again. And thank you everybody for joining. It's good to see there's been about 50 people online. Thank you for your participation, and welcome back in 1 month time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greetings.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.